Maybe technical difficulties. No, we're good. Like Eric's phone's ringing. We weren't sure if the mic was muted. I spilled my coffee. It's been a Monday thus far. Changed my shirt at the last second. So sorry. Good morning, everybody. How are you? So it may look a little bit different behind me slightly. So I don't know if this happens to you, but oftentimes well, first of all, when we first moved into this home, we were very quick to start to put the furniture where it needed to go to get moving, especially my office. I needed to get working right away. But over the weekend, I moved this furniture that's back behind me. It was on this wall over here, and now it's behind me. So everything is kind of, it's not in its right spot at the moment. So we're still trying to get everything thrown together. Yes, I know the window is behind me, but candidly, if you've been watching the other, our coffee times, we always have problem with the sun this time of year, like coming in through okay, he's fixing the screen again. Okay. But see, now when you do that, my glasses are constantly like that. So,
Okay, well, hold on,
so we're yeah. Anyway, anyway, so I don't think that this is the most ideal thing to have the window behind me, but tomorrow, I do have the retractable blinds company that I've already used, which is 3-day blinds. By the way, it did not take 3 days, took much longer, but maybe it was because I did some custom stuff. But at any rate, we used them for some retractable blinds throughout the home here and there and some cornices. Very happy with everything. But I think we need one. Originally, we opted against this window because I wanted to have light control. But the reality is it's kind of always coming through the little cracks of the blinds. So meeting with them tomorrow to get retractable blinds there. Need to get some room darkening shades upstairs in the media room. And probably in our primary bedroom, because now that we have the pool area, I'd like to be able to click a button and have all of it rise up. So anyway, so there you go. So it's been a bit of a wacky morning thus far. But we do have same furniture behind me, just different kind of spot in the room. We'll see how long it lasts. So are you that type of person like me where it's like you just want to, switch things up a little bit and see if you like it better? Candidly, I do like it. I like the feng shui of my office now as opposed to kind of being sideways. But anyway, there's pros and cons to everything. I will tell you, and this kind of goes back to, real estate, which is what we're getting ready to talk about, which is, in the room that I am in, it is the dining room, right? So it's kitchen is off over in that direction. And this was always going to be a dining room. And then kind of toward the last minute, I was like, we don't need all of this extra dining space. I mean, the island has 6 seats at it. The table's got 8. So it's like, we just don't need all of this extra dining space again. So we decided to make it my office. Well, had I intended to make this my office to begin with, I would have been a bit more explicit with where I needed things as far as outlets and some low voltage and even a floor outlet. So keep that in mind for when you are thinking of homes, whether you're building, obviously if it's resale, you don't have much control over that. But if you're building, thinking about the ways you could potentially utilize a room in the future so that you can get all of those low voltage, those components set up for a what if scenario. So bad for me, I didn't do it, but I did a lot of other things that I really like. So anyway, so good morning. I'm going to show you my coffee mug. Eric's standing over there, which means stop talking. So here's my mug.
Stop talking. It means to tell them to like and subscribe.
Oh, I'm supposed to tell you to like and subscribe. Okay, so yes, like and subscribe. That certainly helps us. As we've said before, Monday is not the best day or time to do this for the world, but this isn't for the world. This is for us. And we've got our little group here, and I adore you. And we have more and more people joining in all the time, and we thank you for that. But here's my mug of the day. Virginia's for lovers. Yes, I know I'm in Florida. I know. I get it. But I'm a Virginia girl, born and bred. So this is the mug I picked up at the Norfolk airport. And by the way, it's not Norfolk. For those of you that don't know, it's Norfolk or Norfolk. If you're really there, it's Norfolk. Anyway, so this is my mug I grabbed at the Norfolk International Airport because I do miss home. I miss Virginia a lot. So anyway, I grabbed this mug. It's one of the many that I bought while I was out on my adventures. But boy, it is so nice to be back home and situated back in my house in my own surroundings and back with my clients. It has been crazy. And, we're going to talk about some of these things here shortly, but I will tell you that for anyone that thinks that there is not a lot of real estate stuff happening, it is totally happening. Lots and lots and lots of of people, thinking to move. And it's just that time of year anyway, kind of early spring. Again, it's early spring for us. I know it's February and it's probably, not warm where you are, but it kind of gets us into that vibe of, okay, it's time. All right. So there's lots and lots of people. I want to say good morning to all of you. There's so many. Oh my gosh, Gary and Marcia and Elizabeth and Kim and Ben and Garrett, Fanny and Sydney and Diz. By the way, Tracy, I got your message earlier, sweetheart. I am so sorry. And I'm glad you reminded me. It was actually, and I made myself another note right here on my little book. I was adding a new lender to my list, and that is why I was like, oh, well, before I do it, let me send her that one too, so that you had a few to choose from. So I am so sorry. I'll get that to you. But yeah, so if you have questions, as you know the drill. Capital Q with a colon. If you don't mind, please, that'll just help me search it a little bit better. But Eric says I talk too much at the beginning, so I'm going to stop talking. And
I don't say that.
You do say that.
I give you options.
He says I talk too much.
No, I don't.
This is our time, right? Okay, but we're going to get to business today because there is a lot going on. We actually added a new fun segment for you. Lots of things to kind of talk about. But yeah, so let's go ahead and get to what's brewing, and then I will ramble incessantly after that. Okay, so here are our what's brewing topics for the day. We've made a few little changes here and there, both to the setting. It's not really a set, it's my office. To the setting, as well as Eric's changed some colors on some of these logos and graphics and things. So anyway, so a couple of things. So last week, there was a question about the Dunkin' Donuts and Flamingo Crossings and as to whether or not that was open or opening. And we had said that yes, it was, to our knowledge, it was opening like literally any day. And come to find out, I think it may have opened that day or the next. But yes, my friends, I certainly gave them some business. Eric and I, when we were out, working as we do, out doing videos and photos of a new listing that we'll talk about shortly. We did go to the Dunkin' Donuts. I will tell you, I think candidly, it was probably, I don't know that it was a soft opening, but they were just super busy and there weren't a lot of people working. And it could have just been the time that we were in there, but oh my gosh, how exciting is it to see a business that's like just got so many people in there. People are ordering their coffees, people are sitting there and they're working, and then there's people outside. Everyone is so excited about this, and it's donuts. So yes, I did get my munchkins. That's one of my favorites. Tell me what your favorite donut is. I like glazed, and I like the blueberry cake. That's kind of one of my go-tos all the time. But I really like the munchkins because to me, I can eat those faster, better, easier, probably eat more of them, but got my Dunkins. Anyway, so it is officially open. So I love it. We actually, we posted these photos, I think, on Instagram or something. But at any rate, it is officially open, my friends. So if you are out and about in this area, be sure to stop by there, give them some patronage, and tell them that you're happy that they are there to be a part of our community. So the next topic is North Lake at Ovation. So before I do that, let me see if I can go here. So Diz Deb, loved the Sunday drive yesterday. Ovation bling. Yes, here we go. Ovation. That is the follow-up hit to Hamlin. Hamlin. We are so goofy. Okay, so Diz Deb, yeah, we actually did. Now, where's the hide the comment? There it is. So we did if you watched our Sunday drive yesterday, we did talk about just Ovation, the village in general. And I know we have done that a lot, but it seems like every time we do our Monday coffee time, we have people that are still asking about kind of where we are, what things are looking like, what is the progress, what is the holdup, what communities are moving forward and selling and closing and moving in, and what communities are not. So we did the Sunday drive specifically focused on the Ovation Village, but we did tour a little bit. Let me see if I can find it because Eric's very good. We did do part of our Sunday drive. This is us turning off of Avalon Road into, I think it's Lake Star or something like that. Lake Star, I think. Anyway, it tells you in the video. Going back, and really, this is going to be a new Ashton Woods community. Again, Horizon West. Again, the Ovation Village area. This is North Lake, the Eric did that. I didn't. My hands are right here. But we do have a little button, so if I wanted to, I can do it. I challenge you, my friend. Anyway, so yes, Eric was as we were driving through, he was kind of playing around in his head because everything speaks to him in terms of music, musicians, ditties. I don't know. Anyway, so we threw in the ovation one in there with a little ding at the end for you. But yeah, so take a look at this land. It really is a beautiful, in my opinion, it's a really gorgeous section of land out there. Again, as a reminder, all of this land was citrus groves. You can kind of see conservation, preservation, citrus groves. And that's kind of what the whole Horizon West area is. And this is beautiful. It's tucked back in there. The models are up. Not necessarily officially open, but we are so close. I mean, you can see in here, we're ready. We're ready. They're ready. I don't work for Ashton Woods, but I'm super excited about it. They have some great floor plans. They have a couple other communities here, Hamlin Reserve as well as Latham Park. We're two Ashton Woods communities here in the Horizon West area, kind of in the earlier stages and phases. So this is nice that we're gonna have this builder back to build some of their amazing floor plans. Really, really super excited about that. So anyway, that's just on a loop, I just realized, so I could probably get off of it. Sorry about that. So that's part of what the Sunday drive was. So if you didn't watch it, if you haven't had time, by the way, I don't blame you. But it definitely gives you a nice overview of all of the specific communities and some new ones. There's a Surrey Homes townhome community, I think, that's coming. There's just a lot that's still happening. There's Rockwell's got some another little section. So there's more signs kind of happening there in the Ovation area, and North Lake Ovation is definitely going to be one that we keep our eye on. So that's going to be a super, super fun one. So anyway, so watch the Sunday Drive if you haven't already. And then our final topic for what's brewing is the Northern Deep Freeze. And this is kind of what I was alluding to earlier, which is that we have had, now Pennsylvania, I do not know what is going on with you, my friends, but your entire state is moving to Florida. I'm just kidding. But I will tell you, like the past probably 4 to 5 clients that I've had, all are coming from Pennsylvania. This is that time of year, candidly. I mean, take a look, right? So this is not necessarily Pennsylvania, but this is up north, right? So take a look. These are some temperatures that we're seeing up north. We're not seeing them because we're here, and our temperatures are vastly different. But take a look at some of these numbers. Now, I will tell you that just having come back from New York, I liked the cold. I liked that it was a little bit chilly. Now, I don't know that I could deal with it for more than just a few days, or if I knew there was an end in sight, Obviously, New York, you don't have these temperatures all the time, but they don't last for a week, right? They're there for the winter season, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that as a long-term commitment now to cold weather, having come to Florida and acclimated my body temperature to our winter. And by the way, here is our winter if you're interested. To see if I can find it. Eric, how can I find it? Eric, how can I find ours? Oh, there it is. The 5. Here it is. Here it is. This is our winter. You're seeing those temperatures, and this is us. Today, 76. Tomorrow, 77. 79 on Wednesday. Then 83. My friends are going to 83, and then 82. That is our 5-day forecast. So for those of you that are looking at this, I am just so sorry. You are more than welcome to come join us here. And speaking of joining us here, we actually have several listings. We've got some new ones that are up. We have a few that are coming soon. Can't really talk about them yet because our rules and regulations for talking about coming soon is different than other parts of the country. Which, by the way, Florida, we need to get on the ball, because I think I referenced this a long time ago when our son Forrest was looking for his home in Virginia, how we were able to look and search, and there were so many homes that are like coming soon, and it wasn't really going to be listed for 2 weeks. But for 2 weeks, you got to research the area or find out a little bit more about that space or that home or that community. And here we get 24 hours, so we can't publicly advertise anything until the day before. So that's kind of a bummer. But at any rate, so Fanny, I just saw, hold on, I hated that NYC cold every second I was there last weekend. Oh, it's hard, right? It's hard to get used to. Now, there's something comforting And also, so these are the things they don't tell you. So men and women, I mean, well, I guess I should say women and some men that have long hair. Do you know what the like static electricity with coats and scarves and all of that stuff? And it's like, you can't look cute. I don't know who these models are that look all cute bundled up, but that's not real life. Real life, your hair is like static out here, and every time you touch something, you're popping. That's the real cold. I'm just saying, that's what I experienced. So anyway, so Fanny, I'm glad you're out of the cold weather as well. Wait a minute. Lisa says that is so wrong. Big teaser, LOL. What did I do? What was the teaser?
Oh, she might have been talking about me. I said I have a map for them with communities. I just didn't load it in.
That'd be what it is. Okay, well, tell us, Lisa, what the teaser is, because we didn't mean to tease you. Or at least, anyway, yeah. So we're going to talk about, just real quick, so some listings. We're going to talk about the ones that we currently have. Because again, can't advertise other ones that are coming up in the near future. But here's a couple we're just going to chat about. My newest listing is today's video, and guys, this is brand spanking new construction, never been lived in, and it's going to be your new home. Stay tuned. Hi everybody, it's Amy with Heart and Home Orlando, and take a look at this beautiful brand spanking new bungalow. We are here in Horizon West in the Winter Garden area. Horizon West, by the way, is the hot spot, and this again is a brand new home. This is actually my listing. It's my newest listing, and this is in a community called Encore at Ovation. So first of all, didn't you just love the exterior elevation? You know, a lot of people don't know how much thought was truly taken into the design and the aesthetic appeal of this master planned development called Horizon West. And part of it truly has to do with the number of homes that have front porches. And this is a perfect example. So this beautiful bungalow, which is what we technically refer to as a rear entry garage style home, the bungalow actually has the front porch, and it is beautiful. So I'm sure you could tell from the exterior shots and some of the drone video throughout this video that not only is this a beautiful location, but in the community itself, it's kind of tucked toward the back, which is lovely because it's quiet, not a lot of traffic, and right here at the end of the street is a big open space between two homes, which really just kind of opens up everything. And then right beside that, just a couple houses down, is going to be a playground. Okay, so that is just a little I don't know, like a minute-ish of the video tour that we did for this listing. And this is the newest one that just went active last Thursday, I believe. This is in a beautiful MI Homes community called Encore at Ovation. We have referenced that. Again, Ovation. Hold on. Ovation. So that's the Ovation, part of the Ovation Village here in Horizon West. And this is, just like the video said, it is brand spanking new. And we do see this oftentimes, especially in like where we are now. Some of these homes have taken so long to build that the sellers may have had to, change their game plan. And I've seen that from people who were moving here and now they're not, to people who were, there's been a life change, there's been a health issue, there's been things that have really kind of warranted them to go, well, I got to close on the home because I lose my earnest money deposit otherwise. So let me just close on it and then turn around and sell it. And I mean, obviously that's not ideal for, anybody's situation, but, people have different scenarios in their life that might warrant that. But at any rate, so this one is just listed. If you're interested, obviously I know you'll give me a call. But it is really nice. Again, at MI Homes, they do a radiant barrier in their roofing system. I like that each builder kind of does their own little thing that kind of sets them apart, makes them a little special. They have a transferable structural warranty. We are seeing builders, by the way, getting a little bit more and more stingy with transferring any of those warranties. So that could be a good topic for something else. But let's take a look. We're going to also hit this listing here, which is Whirl Away. So this is the one. And I actually talked to you guys, I don't know if it was last week or, no, it's probably a couple weeks ago. This is the one where I did some virtual staging of the photos because we were just trying to see what in the world is happening. And again, somebody said later, I think it was, that they really liked our transparency in the fact that, we've got this beautiful listing and we're scratching our head as to why it's not selling. And that is why, my friends, I get very, very frustrated with those in our industry that can make, I don't say guarantees, but they can really set an incorrect expectation. Now, obviously, when we were in the feeding frenzy and things were flying off the shelves, that's one thing. But in a normal market, you just don't know. The thing that we're missing is that buyer. And all we can do is get as much exposure to that home and welcome as much foot traffic as possible. So when we did the staging, the virtual staging of the photos, I did see things pick up a little bit. We sure did. In fact, we have someone now who is interested and I believe is planning on submitting an offer. But nothing is real until you actually have that in your inbox with signatures on it. But I will tell you, this is something that we're doing. We've gone from virtual staging to actual staging. So the stagers are going to be coming in on Wednesday. Again, we are trying everything we possibly can to see if we can help a buyer envision themselves in this beautiful home. And it is absolutely beautiful. I don't understand it. So at any rate, again, the transparency is there. This is a beautiful listing. It's a beautiful home. We've done everything the same, if not even more so for this listing. And it's just one of those that, the perfect person hasn't come along yet. And we really hope we can find that perfect person like soon. Anyway, so let's move on. We have another listing, which is Festival. This is the other townhome that we have listed out in an area in Championsgate. This is zoned short-term rental. So if you are looking for an investment property or your own private vacation home, this is a good one. And then again, there's other ones. Now I want to go back to, I am going to do this because there's another listing I wanted to talk about, but I have to do this first. So we're going to do congratulations. Okay, so here we go. So our first congratulations, Yakub and Aisha. So here's the thing. This is the congratulations for them. They have now accepted an offer on their beautiful townhome, lovely end unit, again, here in Horizon West. Beautiful, beautiful community. Mattamy is the builder. This is a Parkland 2 floor plan, which is one of their larger ones. Beautiful, beautiful. So congratulations to them. This is kind of the beginning stages where, okay, now we go through inspection. We're not concerned with inspection. Appraisal, definitely not concerned with appraisal. So we're just kind of, excited and marching forward. This is going to be a quicker closing. So instead of a typical 30 days, they're going to try to get this one done faster, which means they got to pack up and move out a little bit faster. So we're actually on my agenda is to schedule some showings for them for some rentals until they can find their new perfect place. Our next congratulation goes to Carrie and Buck. Now, Carrie and Buck were, again, repeat clients of mine. We sold their existing home out in Claremont several months ago, and they are now ready to start the official home search. So we were out yesterday looking at some beautiful options, and it is just so exciting and rewarding to kind of, as we're waiting, because I am a no pressure person, and I say that to everyone. It doesn't mean that I lay back and don't care. It means that I'm not hovering. I will tell you when we need to move forward, if time is of the essence, if there's something that you want and I don't want you to lose it, or I just want to make sure that you know that the potential is there for you to lose it, but there is never any immediate pressure for me. So I like to let people kind of, I'm there when they need them. We have our conversations, we create timelines, but in the grand scheme of things, it's when they're ready. And so Carrie and Buck reached out the other day and boom, we were right back on it. And I'm super excited about that. So happy to be working with them again. And I've got a phone call today for some new clients this afternoon. I've got a pre-drywall for another client who's been waiting 2 years at this point. So super excited to get some of these people that have been waiting for a long, long time into the final stages of construction. And for those of that are starting the search kind of for the first time or for the second time, excited about that. So our final congratulations for the day is for Elizabeth, also known as Mrs. Deering, also known as our boo-boo. This is our daughter, Elizabeth. She is planning to be a kindergarten first grade teacher. elementary school and is starting her practicum, if that's the right way to say it. And so she's got all of her official, the lanyard and the IDs and the passes, and she'll be starting, I believe, this Wednesday in the classroom. And she is so excited. And I will tell you, this child, the heart on her is so big. I whoever ever has her teaching them or assisting in any way, babysitting them, this child is absolutely born to do this. And I tell you what, man, her heart is just, it is enormous for that tiny little petite body of hers. She is more heart than, than anything else. So congratulations, sweetheart. We're excited for you and can't wait to hear all about your first day on Wednesday. Yes, I know that's not real estate related, but part of what we do is the human element. And, we're people and we have lives beyond just the real estate. So good job, Boo Boo. All right. So now let us head back then over here. So a couple of questions. I believe Eric popped over a minute ago. Rob, you had a question and I'm going to reference it. The HOAs. And I believe your question from the Sunday Drive was, for some of these communities, if there's an HOA, but there's really not any amenities, there's not a lot, why is there an HOA? Well, that's a really good question, but there is still always common area maintenance. And in these communities, again, the oversight, and when I speak, okay, it's going to be different in different places, but so much of what we talk about in reference is here in the Orlando and surrounding areas. And a lot of that obviously is in Winter Garden, and Horizon West is a big section in Winter Garden. But so in the overview of these communities and these areas, having, like, when I mentioned in one of the videos about how much oversight was taken into how many of the homes and floor plans have front porches, because they want the aesthetic and the vibe, the feel, the welcoming nature of these communities to be consistent and to be thoughtfully done. And so that also includes the HOA. So even if a community does not have grand amenities, like some of them are enormous, off the chart resort amenities, and some of them are smaller, more intimate, and some communities don't really have a pool or a clubhouse, but they still have that green space. They still have maybe a playground or a walking trail and benches and things like that that are tucked throughout the community. So that is vital, and that has to happen in these areas. Now, again, if we're talking older communities, different story, different conversation, different rules and regulations. But everything around here, you are going to see a fluctuation in HOA fees. You're going to see some that are over 200. So, like, for instance, I believe it is Waterley, when we were just there for like their bungalow, some of those series, not the townhomes. Townhomes have a different HOA, but you're like $250 a month. Now that $250 a month seems like a lot. However, that includes all of your lawn maintenance, front yard, backyard, the whole kit and caboodle. And of course, they've got enormous amenities, not just one, not just two, not just three, but multiple pools and amenities kind of tucked throughout the community. So that alone is a great deal, 250. And there's a lot of common area maintenance to maintain in that community, but it's also large. So that's divided among those homeowners. So then you can talk about a smaller, more intimate community where maybe there's not really the amenities. Okay, let's take my original community that we lived in at first. Small 66 home community, not gated, no pool. We had a big pond with a fountain, and which had to be maintained. We'd see people out there in the little canoes or whatever, going out there and fixing whatever whenever it would not work. And we had a playground, and that was kind of it. Like there was, the sidewalk around, but there's still common area maintenance when it comes to the landscaping. So your HOA fee is going to change. It's going to be reflected on what are your amenities, how much is the common area maintenance that needs to be maintained, and how many homeowners or residents are in there to share that cost. But here in this Horizon West area, this, when completed, will be the largest master plan community in the United States. So there was a tremendous amount of oversight into each of these communities and guidelines that they had to adhere to. And that definitely 100% includes how much common area there is in relation to amenities or green space. So So yeah, so your HOA fee could be smaller if there's not that much green space to maintain. But here in this area, you're still going to have some. But you could still have an HOA fee of like $67, and that's not much. Yes,
We have
sir.
breaking news. Our son-in-law has texted to say it's $258.58 is their HOA fee in Waterley.
Oh, in Waterley. Fantastic.
$258.58.
$258.58. Okay, so that would be my son-in-law who is apparently watching. You should be working right now. Hong is amazing. We adore him. He actually they live in that community, so he said it's $258.58. Now I will say they live in one of the larger homes, but I do believe theirs is the same as the bungalows, but the townhomes are different. So thank you, Hong, for that. All right, so anyway, so that was a long answer, Rob, but it unfortunately, most things don't have a quick, easy answer, so it requires a little bit more in-depth kind of explanation. Okay. Okay, this is a great one, Susie Q. What is the neighborly etiquette if you want to install a fence and one of your neighbors has installed one already? Do you have to put yours up next to it? Just planning ahead. Yes, Susie. So, okay, if they've already got a fence, then ultimately it is on the property line and you have to then connect to their fence. Now, if you really wanted to, you can put a fence in, butt your fence up against their fence. Not really necessary because ultimately you would be sharing that fence. Now, obviously they paid for it, so that's kind of a bonus to you. Another neighborly etiquette is that if there are other neighbors around you and you go in it and you're like, hey, do you want to split the cost, go in on the fence together? You can do that. But as far as if someone already has a fence installed, you have to go to the property line, or at least you should. Most people want to fence in as much of their yard as they can. So you usually go to that property line and their fence is also on that property line. So yes, your job would be to butt it up that way. And, other than the etiquette, it's usually you like to make nice with your neighbors. We actually had asked our neighbors. So we have, not ideal, honestly. But we had to get our fence installed very quickly when we moved in. So we were able to thankfully go through the process and procedure to get our fence approved so that the day after we moved in, I guess that was Thanksgiving. So I guess the day after Thanksgiving, they came out and installed the fence. Usually it takes longer than that, but we had some connections that allowed us to at least get our application through the process a little bit faster. But our neighbor, they had said they were putting up a privacy fence. Well, we were putting open the open black railing fence, and our neighbors were doing a privacy fence, which was totally fine. But obviously we're like, oh, well, if they're doing privacy, do we want to do privacy? And we're like, well, no, we don't want to do privacy. But we had already permitted and paid for a fence on the same side of the property that their fence was going on. And they actually moved in before we did. So their fence went up right before ours did. And we're like, oh man. So they have a privacy fence, and literally right next to it, we have our black open railing fence. It does not have to happen that way, but we could not go back and change and tell the fencing company, hey, can you just cut that out and give us that money back? That wasn't the way it works. So we just added the fence up against it. It is what it is. But yes, I think always having that conversation with your neighbor is good. Sometimes you run into a nice one, and you definitely want to make nice, especially if you ever plan on putting in a pool after you close. You want to make sure you have a good relationship with them, even if it's just cordial. So that's a very good question, though. All right, my friends. Okay, so let me move on to something else, just because I talk a lot. So let's do Zillow. What?
We can do the alley thing because it's like.
Okay.
So tell them what alley.
Okay, so Eric says no, don't do that because he's directing me from over there. He's producing. Sorry. Okay, producing. All right, so we actually do have a new segment, and this kind of, as everything that we do, it comes up kind of authentically, where we're trying to help you. We're trying to help as many people as possible with all of the things that all the questions that we get, not just here, but all day long through phone messages. And even though my daughter is on their second home, they've purchased 2 homes at this point, there are still some elements that we're not all sure of. And so this is a new segment called Allie Knows Nothing. And these are just some very good and basic questions that hopefully will help you. So here's our new segment.
When we were growing up in Virginia, I remember we had a huge backyard and tons of space in the side yard and stuff like that. And it definitely seems like that's not necessarily the case in most new construction in Florida. So I guess my question is, how much space can you expect to have between houses in Florida? Like, is there a standard lot size?
That is a great question, Allie. Isn't she cute? That's my girl. So this is a question we get all of the time. And please remember that it can vary, but when we talk new construction, obviously, like, I don't have one around me, but if you ever look at a builder's site map, you see lots or rectangles, I guess. You see rectangles in different colors. Okay. So if there is a community that has townhomes, bungalows, and regular front load, single family front load garage, single family homes, you're probably going to see 3 different colors on that site map. You're probably going to have, your townhomes, obviously that's going to make sense. Your bungalows are typically on like a 40-foot wide home site, and that's a rear entry. So those are on a more narrow home site. Most everything is going to be about 120 feet deep. So when you talk about your standard, thank you, dear. When you talk about a standard lot size, and that really is what Allie was asking, what can you expect? I tell clients to expect a 50 feet wide by 120 feet deep. 120 is the magic number. That's what every lot is likely going to be depth-wise. You might find one that's 125 feet deep, or maybe you back up to a conservation or natural border, and so maybe the right side of your property line is back 122 feet, but the left side is 129 feet. That can happen. But generally speaking, when you look at, here we go, Eric ran one over to me real fast. If you look at this, do you see the blue? These blue ones, here, I can't do this very well. Hold on. Yes, the blue ones. Where are they? Right there. The blue ones. The blue ones are townhomes. And then you can see the peachy ones, the ones that have the green dots and the red dots on them. Those are bungalows. And those are probably going to be 40-foot wide home sites. And then you can see the other ones on the perimeter, which again, this is kind of what I'm referencing, all of these yellowy ones. Some of them look a little bit more like over here and over here, like those. You can see those look a little bit more like uniform. And then you can see some of these over here. They kind of back up to different borders. So you can see how some of those lots might be a little bit bigger or deeper. So that's when we say a standard lot. Your expectation should be 50 feet wide by 120 deep, unfortunately. And I know they're like 50 feet. Yeah, I know. 50 feet wide. Now, what that does, Allie, the other question she had, which was how much distance can you expect between your neighbors? And the normal answer for that is 10 feet. 5 feet for your neighbor, 5 feet for you. So while, yes, it is close, a little bit close knit, it's not quite as literal as reaching out and handing your neighbor a cup of sugar. There's still 10 feet of space. Again, 5 for you, 5 for your neighbor. 5 plus 5 is 10. So there's 10 feet between houses. Now, if you have a home site that is maybe 60 feet wide or 65 or 70 or more so, then that's a different story. You're going to start to have more distance between you and your neighbor. But so many of these new construction communities that are popping up everywhere, whether it's Winter Garden, whether it's Claremont, whether it's Apopka, whether it's a Coe, whether it's Groveland or Davenport or Kissimmee, keep in your mindset 50 by 120 with about 10 feet between you and your neighbor. And that way, if you find something that happens to be a little bit longer or a little bit wider and you have more space, you will be pleasantly surprised as opposed to disappointed. So very good question. I love this new segment. We're going to have lots of those fun questions. By the way, don't forget, if you've got questions, feel free, keep throwing them in here. But now that we did that, let's go to the Zillow because I want to show you this beautiful home. Okay, so this is a home in Montclair, New Jersey, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,865 square feet, priced at $949,000. But isn't it lovely? Oh my gosh, I love this one. This one is not like, there's nothing, sometimes we're like, oh my gosh, that's a crazy looking house. I just think this one is really beautiful. And it's in New Jersey. And if you can look out the views, one of these photos, I'm not sure which one is coming up, you can see New York kind of out the back. I think it's the back. But really lovely. I'm not sure how old this home is. I think it was built in the 60s. I'm not sure, but really lovely. I love the beams in there. It's just so interesting to see the architecture and design from different areas, different, locations. Now the blue, I'm not a super big fan of the blue bathroom, but this is beautiful. I mean, look at that staircase, really gorgeous. I wonder how much of this has been renovated over the years, but look at that. Isn't that a lovely, lovely, lovely kind of just huge window to visualize all of that landscape, and then being able to just explore and to oh, there it is. There's that picture. Look at that. You can see New York City from this. It's amazing. Anyway, so that's a great home. It's available if you're interested. I can't sell it to you, but I can refer you to someone. But anyway, I love seeing these homes. Some of them are really kind of goofy and way weird and out there. That one I think is really just very, very nice. So I wonder how they're feeling about their weather forecast. You want me to show you that again? You want to see what your weather is like? Oh, look at that. You want to see what ours is like? Ours is just kidding. Okay. All right. So so I want to take a peek and see if there's any other questions in here before I move on to the next piece of it. Hello, Horizon West. Hello. Good. Thank you for the Sunday drive. Kind of little wording there. We're happy people are watching it and kind of exploring all of this with us. And I've said before, we did those Sunday drives. It all started with a pro hockey player out of Norway. That was a client of mine, and we started to do this honestly for him and his family, and it really became such an essential tool, we felt, for our clients that lived out of state or out of the country. And then we just, time to do it individually just kind of escaped us. I'm sorry, Eli, I'm looking at that. I'm just letting that roll.
Oh, I didn't know why you were doing that.
I was letting it roll.
Okay, cool.
No, just letting it roll. I just want people to see what our temperatures are.
Okay.
Anyway, but yeah, so thanks for watching the Sunday drive. I think there's a lot of good info in there too. Eric, as always, whenever he is involved on camera, it is sure to have lots of laughs and giggles. And he said that we fight before each one, and we do not. I just want to go on record.
It's stressful.
Only because you're stressed out. I'm not stressed out.
I have to produce all this stuff. It's very difficult.
Okay. Anyway, all right, guys. So let's see. What else do we have? I do have another thing, which is what I'm watching. But I wanted to see, was there any other?
There are some questions. If you put your cue up there.
I do? Okay. Well, I did a minute ago, but.
Just put the cue.
I did it again. I do it like every time. Sometimes.
If you just put the cue. Take the colon out.
That's why.
Because I think a couple people didn't put the colon.
I don't
producing.
I'm looking. I will say, Lisa, you had a question. It says, do older homes have more space than 10 feet distance? Yeah, in most cases, because if that home is...
And there's that. Okay,
cool. All right. So Lisa, you had said, do older homes have more space than the 10-foot distance? And yes, the answer is yes, they can. So a lot of communities that are older in nature may not even have an HOA. And you will notice those communities because you can drive through and you can see clearly that there's no HOA. Not that it's a bad thing, but when you see a camper or a big RV parked on the side of their house, or a boat with a big tarp over it and like grass that's grown up all around it, those are the communities that you typically can tell are older and may not even have an HOA. And in those cases, those may be larger home sites. So yes, and sometimes there is an HOA that we have more than 10 feet between me and my neighbor, and our home is just over a year old. So they do exist for sure. And even in new construction, they can exist. I think it's more likely that you are going to find something 50 by 120 than you're going to find something that's wider. And by the way, if you have a larger home site, so let's say you didn't have a 50-foot wide home site, but you had a 60-foot wide home site. Well, the floor plan that they're putting on that 60-foot home site also could expand in the square footage, so it could be a wider home. For instance, there's a community out in Mineola that has 70-foot wide home sites. And on those 70-foot wide home sites, all of those homes are going to have a 3-car garage. And so what's happened is, even though the home site is wider, the footprint of the home is also wider. So that doesn't really change the distance between you and your neighbor. It just gives you a wider home site and more space for that footprint for the square footage of that home. But yeah, of course, there's lots of homes that have more than 10 feet. But when we talk new construction, that's just kind of a good rule of thumb. I'm not happy about saying it, but that's kind of the reality. Okay, so another question, Lisa, you also said, do most HOAs not allow fencing? I've noticed that even homes with pools only have screen around them. With dogs, we need a fence around our backyard. So yeah, There are a few communities, but not many, that won't allow fencing. The main thing is that they're going to restrict you to the type of fencing, whether it is a black open fencing, like we call like the wrought iron. It's not really wrought iron, but it looks like it. The black open rail fencing or privacy fencing. There are some communities where Waterley is an example. They do not allow privacy fencing, but you can absolutely have the black wrought iron, and there's different variations or versions of that fencing too. So if you need the kind with puppy pickets or things like that, there's some flexibility on the type of black open fencing that you can have. There's a community one of the communities in a 55 plus community out in Davenport, no fencing, and that was really shocking to me. I was like no fencing, every age demographic is likely to have a pet. So that really shocked me that they weren't able to put fencing. Now they had dog parks, but it was weird. So the reality is most communities are going to allow you to have a fence. They will definitely, in most cases, 99 of them, restrict the type of fencing, and you are going to have to go through the typical application process. But there's usually zero problem with you being approved for them. It just has to all be done just in the right process and procedure. But yeah, I'm with you. It's like, how could you have a house without a fence? That's just not going to work. And by the way, that was like our first thing that we had to put into our home completely for the dog. So I get you. As I say, I feel your pain and share your joy, with the pups. Okay. Sydney, can you buy a wider home site than a 4,000 square foot home? Home could fit, but build a smaller home like 2,700? That's a really good question, Sydney. The answer is no. So again, yeah, the answer is no. Like you can't, for instance, if you were, and that is such a good question. You've always got so much good questions and information, and I just adore you. So thank you for being one of our people. So basically what Sydney's asking is, if there is, let's just use that example that I mentioned a minute ago. Let's say there's a community that offers you a 70-foot wide home site, and then they're going to have specific homes that are going to be able to go on that 70-foot wide home site. That community also has 50-foot wide home sites. Those don't have the 3-car garage. Those are a regular 50-foot wide home site, and so they have different floor plans that are going to go on the 50s. And that's the way they refer to them, the 50s and the 70s, okay? So I think what Sydney's asking is, can you buy the 70-foot wide home site, but put a 50-foot wide home site floor plan on it to give you more space? And the answer is no. And that's just unfortunate, because that is a super smart idea, but everybody would do it. And unfortunately, in these master planned communities, unfortunately, that's they won't do it. You have to have the floor plan that correlates to the lot size. But that's a really good question.
Can I do breaking news?
You can do breaking news
on some of these questions next week. With us, Nicole Wilson.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
so-
is right.
yeah.
Yes. So some of these questions, this is very good. So our friend and one of our local, what is her?
She's the District 1 Commissioner.
Yeah. So the District 1 Commissioner, she's also our friend, Nicole Wilson. She does so much for our area, and she really, really, really cares about all of us, about our area, our land, our environment, our growth, and how we can all peacefully and productively work together to make all of that happen. And so she's gonna do a segment for us as a guest, just to kind of talk about some of these things. We've talked about the rural village before. Eric hates that word rural, but the rural village, and kind of what that means to Horizon West, and some of the development and the land and the conservation areas, and the and candidly, what it does to our environment when we do create these new communities that were once, agricultural areas. So, so she'll be with us. So some of these questions, I think Eric's point was, we're going to have her next week. So there'll be a lot of these questions we can dive into a little bit deeper. So let me see, were there any more questions? I'm looking again. There's a question about this. What is this?
And then Quentin asked a question, but then you can go there first and then there.
Oh, Kim. I read rumors that Disney was going to build a community in the area. Have you heard anything?
Right by Flamingo Crossing.
Right by Flamingo Crossings.
They donated 80 acres.
So Disney donated 80 acres?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, Disney donated 80 acres. Yeah. So here's our information on that. So we will definitely keep you in the loop with this. But yes, there is some talk, there's some information, very early stages, but I love it when I see stuff like this because it's neat to see it as just as a conception and as an artist's rendering sometimes, and then to see it kind of come to fruition is really kind of cool to see that progress as it goes. So yeah, that's definitely one that we're going to keep an eye on. But yeah, that'll be near the Flamingo Crossings area. And that area, by the way, I'm in love with it. And I used to think it was going to be so out there, and it's not. It's like right here, and it's just so lovely. Okay, so let's see. Quentin. Hey, Quentin. Which areas would be good for buying a home to use as a long-term rental? Do homes really rent at 25 to 3,000 a month? So Quentin, yes, these are great questions. And a lot of it depends on if you're using it as an investment property, and you're not looking, pardon me, and you're not looking for short-term rental, then you want to look in the nicer areas because that's where people are going to want to rent, right? Most people don't want a long-term rental in the areas that are zoned short-term rental. Most of those people are going to be it's not everyone, but most people. If you're looking for a rental because eventually you want to move, maybe you just moved here and you're not sure where you want to go yet, but you need to rent something for a year and you want to be in a residential area. You want to be in a nice area where you feel like it's community oriented, it's family oriented, or whatever you're actually looking for. Maybe it's not family oriented. Maybe you just, want kind of the hot spot where it's got a cool, vibe where everything is within walking distance. But yeah, so there are lots of good areas, and that would be a great conversation for us to have on the phone because there's just so many of them. And yes, do homes really rent at 2,500 to 3,000 a month? Easy, more than that. But it's based on the square footage in most cases and the location. So, are you going to, there's a lot of homes here in this area that are not a lot. Well, I guess there's some that are available for rent for a year. And easy breezy. I mean, 25 to 3,000 a month. It just depends on the square footage. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a good idea. When we built our, my daughter and son-in-law's first home, they had a bungalow. It was the Madison floor plan, in Hawksmoor. Before it was their home, it was me on a whim going, why am I not purchasing an investment property? I had been out with an investor that day and, his mindset was different and I learned a lot from him. And I went home to Eric. I was like, why are we not doing this? I wasn't on the mortgage for our first home that we purchased when we moved here. It's like, why don't I this is a great community. It's going to be, it's going to be a wonderful spot, perfect amenities, perfect size. Love the builder, love the floor plans. I thought it was a home run. It is a home run. And so I went into it. I'm like, I just want to get in early on, pick my lot, get that base pricing. And I wasn't sure if I was going to rent it or if I was going to turn around and sell it. I honestly didn't know. And as it turned out, that's when my daughter and son-in-law got engaged. And so they moved into the home and we just added them to the contract and it was their home and it worked out a little bit differently. But my original idea, kind of back to your point, was that if I was going to have an investment property, for me, I wanted to be in a place where I felt like it was going to be family oriented, where the renters or the tenants would have that, hopefully not like it's a fly by night place to hang or crash, but that it was a place for a family to enjoy and hence they might take better care of that property than a typical tenant would if it was just a short-term rental and they could really care less. So lots of good questions there. So Quentin, if you want, you can always call me or text me 407-848. Hold on, Eric's going to say, put it on there. 407-848-8042. And there's lots of things we can talk about as far as areas. If you're actually interested, if you're but if it was just a question about do those things rent for that amount, the answer is 100% absolutely they do. So anyway, I love that. Any other questions? If not, Marcia, sorry, lot sizes for custom homes, are they different? Marcia, sorry, lot sizes for custom homes, are they different? Yeah, they can be. And again, everything is relative to the area. And, you could go out, to the Gulf Coast and there's some communities out there where the lots are going to be different. You can go into Bella Colina here in the Claremont Montverde area, excuse me. And they've got larger home sites for those custom homes. but they still have production builders in there that are building on 50 by 120s. So, the answer is yes. There's a lot of variety. Custom build is a completely different process, but yeah, some of their lot sizes could potentially be bigger. It just depends on the land that custom builder owns and whether or not they have platted it out accordingly. But most people think of a custom home and they really think of that high-end luxury home. But the reality is sometimes custom homes are smaller too. But yeah, the answer to your question is yes, absolutely. They can be bigger. They can also be the same size. Okay. Tea time. Did you see that, Eric?
What?
Tea time says, at Eric Kidwell, new segment idea. Could you share the Orlando Monday morning quarterback realtor housing data, sales data each week? So,
Yes, absolutely.
so lots of fun things that we can throw into our time together. But as I speak of our time together, it's pretty much almost up, guys. So let me do real quick. Let me do what I'm watching so I can make sure I hit all of my buttons today so I don't get in trouble from my husband. I get so mad if I don't do it right. Okay, hold on. Let me find what I'm watching. I gotta find it. Where am I?
Next to Zillow.
Next is Zillow. There it is. I found it. Okay, so this is my new one. I've been watching New Amsterdam. I guess this was an NBC series. I never watched it while it was on. I don't even know if it is still on, but it is on Netflix now. And so I've been watching that the past couple of nights, a couple episodes each night before I go to bed. I'm loving it. I told Eric he should watch it because, prior to real estate, he did some things within the healthcare industry. And I'm loving this. It's a really good show. I used to watch ER. In fact, Eric and I used to watch ER when it was on, which is weird because I don't know why I was drawn to it. But this is, I guess, very similar. There's lots of sub stories within each episode. So anyway, so I like it. I don't know if any of you have ever watched it when it was, actually on TV, but I don't seem to watch any TV shows anymore. Like as they air, I end up just watching everything that I can push on a button and pause it whenever I need to. All right, guys. So I think I got to everything. Hopefully I will not be punished later by the big bad Mr. Eric, who's going to yell at me if I'm just kidding. He doesn't really yell at me. He doesn't yell at me, but I do. You should see how much our Monday coffee time has grown from a few little buttons that I had to look at to an entire thing where I'm like, I have to talk and think and all of this and push buttons. Way too much. Anyway, but I do have a big day ahead of me. I'm going to be heading out in a few minutes. Again, I can't wait to go meet Sue, who has been waiting for her pre-drywall walkthrough with the builder over in Lakeside at Hamlin today. Dreamfinders Community, beautiful home. Super excited about that. Boy, have we been waiting a while. And when I say a while, I mean like a long time. So that's happening today. Just did another pre-drywall walkthrough with some other clients in the same community. Marcellus and Jessica, we were out there the other day and did their pre-drywall walkthrough. So things are really cranking in that community, which is awesome. And then I've got phone calls with some new clients that I can't wait to speak to this afternoon. So if you are interested, as always, the best way to reach out to me, and Eric wants me to promo it. Hold on. Promo. Where's promo button?
I'm nice. It's okay. You can.
I don't know. Everything moved around. But you can always call me or text me at 407-848-8042. And I do get a lot of people that will, after our little time together, they'll send me messages like, okay, what do I do? So this is what you do. It's best if you text me. You can call me, but I don't always have the opportunity to answer unless I'm in a position to. If I'm in a position to, I'm on it. But like if I'm at that pre-drywall walkthrough, I'm not going to be able to answer my phone, but I could respond to a text. So if you text me first, I will send you a link, and then you can start to kind of complete that, and then we'll basically schedule a time for us to chat on the phone, whether it's today or whether it's tomorrow or whether it's 2 weeks from now. And then the only thing I could really, I'd like to tell you just on a realtor in general, and then I promise I'm going to say goodbye, is that if you plan on coming in town, and this goes to any person watching in any area. If you're buying here, fabulous. If you're looking to buy in Montana, one thing that you can do that really would help your realtor out is to make sure that you communicate to them when you plan on coming in town in advance. And I don't mean like the day that you're coming, like, hey, we just landed. It only because as realtors, those of us who take our job seriously, and most of us do, we want to work efficiently and effectively for each of our clients. And while we have a lot of knowledge of our area, there is not a magic key that allows us to access any home at any time. And it does take some work. You know, that's what we do. It's like people, we don't just show houses. There's a lot of things that we have to do prior to you coming in town. So just as a reference, if you know you're going to be coming in town, whether it's here to see me or whether it's somewhere else to see a realtor in another area, part of town, or another state, do them a courtesy and give them as much notice as possible so that they can work for you enough in advance so that when you do finally meet together, you don't have to waste time looking at things that don't matter. You can really focus on making sure that your realtor is doing what they need to do for you. Okay. And with that note, I got to scoot because I got to go do a pre-drywall walkthrough. I'm so excited. Thank you guys as always for joining in. We appreciate you guys so much. Don't forget to reach out anytime you have any questions. We love it. If you don't put a question here, we'll add it to next week if we didn't see it or didn't get to answer it. But as always, please remember, stay safe, stay well. Remember, we love you, and happy house hunting, guys. We'll see you next. Goodbye. Jeez.